Zeitgeist, Wraith, Whites.
Hello, hello! Welcome to the BoLS Tabletop Hour, where we spend 1 hour talking about tabletops. I prefer a marble finish. JR, on the other hand, I think it's more in a teak, did you say?
I like a good teak. It's nice. It's softer than you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
You can it doesn't stain if you don't use a coaster because your friends are heathens.
Right, and obviously, we're heathens.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about tabletop news. There's a new company making tabletops in town.
Is there?
Actually, not new, but but if you've been paying attention, what is it, the Ultimate Gaming Table or something like that is making some 40K.
Oh, that's true.
Sigmar
they are
tabletops.
in fact making some tabletops.
Yeah. But no, today we're here to talk about...
We've come full circle.
We've come full circle. We're going to talk about tabletop games for the next hour here. I'm Abe.
I'm JR.
We've got the amazing Mars running things from behind the camera.
Hello.
It's been confirmed she does not have swords for hands.
No swords for hands.
Not yet.
So, watch out. Us, I guess.
Yeah,
You're probably safe from them.
So speaking of swords for hands, let's talk about tabletop games where you can get people that have
swords
for hands.
And we are, of course, speaking of the new tabletop game of Frank Miller's 300,
right?
Which has the guy with sword hands, right?
Or are we talking about the Night Haunts for Age of Sigmar?
Oh, probably that one, guys.
Yeah.
So, we've got some new, over the weekend, some new stuff came out. We got some new releases. What is new in the Age of Sigmar?
So, they are continuing to release the forces that you could find in the Soul Wars and, the various, other starter sets as their individual units.
Sure.
So now you get, you have, before you had to buy the Soul Wars to get, if you wanted the evocators on their Celestial Dracolines.
Right.
They are now available as a single kit model, or a single box. You can buy just them. You can make...
You get three of them in the box,
You get 3 of them in the box, and you get parts enough to also make a Lord Arcanum on a Celestial Dracoline. And that guy's pretty cool. One of the cool things I like about the various, Lord Arcanums... Lord Arcana? Lords Arcana.
Lords Arcana.
One of the things I like about the various Lords Arcana in the Stormcast Eternals Battle Tome is that their unique spells change based on what they're mounted on, or if they're mounted at all. So technically it's mostly the same stat line, but for instance, the guy on the Celestial Dracoline,
he gets Sunbeam, and then the Dragoline just kind of follows it around and curls up next to it. They're like dragon cats.
Yeah, basically. They are dragon cats. They are straight off of one of the some cartoon from the 80s, basically.
I mean, isn't all of Age of Sigmar a little bit off of some 80s cartoon?
It is a little bit, in the best way.
Yeah.
So the one on the Celestial Dracoline gets the Stormlance, so he does get a Sunbeam,
right?
Which is a kind of a cool spell. It's one of those pick a point and draw a line, and everything along it takes some mortal wounds if you hit him with a line.
Sure.
Then you have the Dracoline gets to do all kinds of crazy dragon tiger things. It roars and it pounces, and there's all that jazz. The Evocators themselves are a strong support unit. They're capable of casting Empower. They ride around on Dracolines and will eat whatever they want. They're a hard-hitting magical cavalry unit. So if you want to make sure that you've got wizards that are around where you need them to be, that's a good way to go. But you have to have at least 2 of them in order for them to count as a wizard. Because they're baby
wizards. They're not real wizards. They have to be a conclave or something.
Yeah, they're a chorus or a conclave or a,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I do like with Stormlance, we've seen it in the newer Games Workshop books. They've gotten wise. In the past, they would just be draw a line. Anything under it is touched, right? They've gotten very wise in modern books where they're saying, draw a line 1 millimeter wide.
Yeah.
So that you can't be how wide is my line?
4 feet.
As wide as I want.
You also, so that's on the Stormcast Eternal side. You got the Evocators, you got the Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline, and you get the Lord Ordinator,
right?
Who is kind of out of the whatchamacallit. He was one of the original heroes from Malign Portents.
Malign Portents.
Yeah, he was one of the harbingers of the Malign Portents, and now you can get him, and you can give him alternate options rather than just the like two hammers that he had before.
He has one big hammer now.
He's
right?
got a massive, just like stupidly big grand hammer.
Oh, is it called a grand hammer?
It is called. It's an astral grand hammer.
Oh,
and it gives you three attacks. You hit and wound on 3s, and it does 2 damage each.
Okay.
And is a rend of -1, so it's pretty.
That's not bad.
Pretty beefy. And if you make an unmodified hit roll of 6, it does 2 mortal wounds.
Oh.
On the target.
In addition or instead?
Just instead of.
Okay.
But, anyway.
So that's the new...
that's the new Stormcast
yeah.
stuff. The Night Haunts also got some new units.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sword Hands.
Sword Hands.
Because they're the Grim Ghast Ghost Geist
White
Wraith Specters.
Yeah.
Continuing on the tradition of taking 2 different words, mashing them together, and then finding like an old.
Are we sure that this game wasn't made by Germans? Because
Yeah.
That's how German words
That is
work.
how German words would work. So these
and some of these names are German, I think.
They're not chain ghasts, nor are they blade geists.
So they do have blades and chains on them.
They are not glaive wraiths or grim ghasts.
So they do have ghastly wraith-like appearances.
They are, however, called Dread Scythe Harridans.
Right.
So these are they used to be in life. They were healers. They were people who would tend to the wounded. And now, in death, they've been cursed with the cruel irony of having swords for hands. Now they can only kill instead of healing.
Right.
So it's pretty terrible for them.
That sucks.
That's pretty much it. They're a bunch of troops. They're like a summonable unit that moves fast and hits pretty hard. They
very nice models though.
They are incredible models. And
one of the things I've always liked that is possibly my favorite thing in Sigmar that they've done is that back in the old world in fantasy there was the Gardens of Moor, which were like their cemeteries, right? Right. And they had the purple roses or black roses of Moor, which were like the symbolism of the death god. And you would see these on some of the models as this really cool iconography that was in the lore that slowly popped up on more and more models. And they've really taken that over, and I guess Moore is like killed is under the Dominion or dead by Nagash. By Nagash, yeah. But they still use that symbolism to represent death and that kind of thing, and I really like that a lot. So these Dread Scythe Harridans do have the roses in their hair. So if you ever see like roses and are like, what's up with all the roses going on here? That's what it's
from the old world.
Yeah. And you'll see it like if you look at like the graveyard terrain, you'll see that they've got roses all over it too.
True.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Same. A lot of other stuff has kind of like come over as well. Like there's the where they were showing off the black coach. Black coach,
yes.
Black coach, not carriage. Last week.
And this is no mere carriage.
That's got the iconography of like a world that was kind of vampire.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
In fact, if you read up on the lore, it's supposedly carrying a vampire that's been like staked and chained up and entombed since. Before the age of Sigmar.
Right.
And he's, I guess, now bound to Nagash's will and probably not super happy about
he's
that.
certainly bound because he's staked and chained up, right?
It's true. Yeah, literally bound.
Literally bound.
But it's cool. Like, you can kind of see where there's, like, a blood stain on his chest and stuff.
Yeah.
The other one that they get is the Blade Geist Revenants. These are the ghosts that have the massive two-handed swords. They're very...
Hence the blade.
Exactly.
Right.
And they're ghosts. They're geists.
Right.
And they're also revenants.
Are they angry?
They are probably angry.
Okay.
They're fearful. So they are fearful and frenzied. They fight with the frantic desperation of a drowning man attempting to reach the surface. Eternally trapped in the last moment of their lives, these spirits fight as though they're dying because they are. Except they're already dead. So.
They're already dead.
Yeah.
But they can be more dead.
They could be more dead.
More dead.
You can always kill that. If something's dead, you can kill it again.
You can kill it again.
Number
one rule of fantasy.
If it's dead, we can kill it.
Yep. I mean, you have to know at that point, it's already died once. Second time may not be any harder.
It's true. They fight. They're a great unit if you have the troops to support them. That's kind of how a lot of the Night Haunt army works. Is They've got like great units that rely on their friends to kind of buff them up.
They're definitely more like the more interchangeable parts work, like a cog work machine. They definitely are a big thing. And we've also got everyone's favorite Pictionary player came out this year, right?
Yes.
This week, right?
Yeah.
What was his name again? Lake something?
Lakenor. There's a Lord Executioner now. He's a variant one.
We say he's got a big like hourglass. And his axe.
And his
model, which is why we joke about him being, like Pictionary player. Like, he's always really good at Pictionary with the hourglass, but, like, if you go over time, get him the axe. Like,
exactly. It's just sort of a variant model of the one that you get. This guy is a little bit more fierce, a little more independent, but he's basically the same. There's not too much that's changed about him. And that's the stuff that's out for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
As far as other tabletop games go,
I think we had actually a couple big events this weekend. So we're gonna bring in another guest, I think, to talk about that a little bit. I think.
Sure. Well, while we wait on him, let me tell you that they also showed off a little bit of what we can expect in Gang War 4. If you guys are Necromunda players,
right?
That's gonna have the House Cador, which is the best house because they have. They're the ones who are friends with Clovis the Redeemer.
Right. And they also go, Ka! At the door.
And then
you open it up.
They all with this Gang War 4 also introduces brutes into the game, and these are like the big sort of beefy monsters and stuff. You get like the Arachne Rig servo suit, and you get like weird whatever other shambling horrors have come up from the depths of Hive Primus.
Right.
But speaking of 40k, I guess that's my cue to get out of here.
All right. I'm just going to sip my tea here while our veteran commentator Larry comes on here, because it was 105 degrees outside here in Texas, and of course that means I needed some hot tea to enjoy myself. I just can't talk about Games Workshop games without tea. It's not right, Refreshing.
What is this stuff?
Get it out of here!
It's 40k time.
It's 40k time. So, Larry.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome on. So this weekend, we had a big event go on, right?
Yes.
So what was this weekend?
It was the BAO.
BAO,
the
Bay Area Open.
And
that's in San Francisco?
Yes. Hence the Bay.
I mean, there are other bays.
Funny little note, the actual logo for the Bay Area Open is pretty old. That was made by me years ago as a favor to Reese.
So you're the one. You're the non-Thomas. Thomas makes every other logo, right?
That is correct. Yes, if it's not by Goat Boy, it's not crap.
So we had two unbeatable lists.
Two unbeatable.
Two best beasts that won 5-0 at the tournament, right?
Yes.
No, so it's five rounds, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm unfamiliar, but two lists made it all the way. The one that won was a Death Guard list. Death Guard list. I'll let you go over that one roughly.
So, I mean,
had a Demon Prince.
It has a Demon Prince. So the main detachment is a Death Guard Vanguard detachment.
Sure.
The Demon Prince. It has like 10 Bright Lord Terminators.
Yep. Which is nice.
Which is nice.
You don't normally see that. Just a big old squad of them.
They're probably the one Death
Kitted
Guard
out
unit.
for close combat.
Two of them have the
grenade launchers.
No,
and then 2 of them have flails.
8 of them have grenade launchers.
Oh, do they? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like almost all of them have a special weapon, except
cool.
Except for 2 of them had the flails, I think.
Yeah.
The Bright Lord Terminators are probably the one actual Death Guard unit I see being used competitively.
Yeah.
They're tough. They're fairly tough. You can they have a decent amount of firepower. You can make them hard to hit.
Yeah, you can. They're like the Death Guard equivalent of like you used to see Havocs back in the old days, and people would just like build these crazy Havoc units where every guy had a special weapon, or like the classic Chaos Terminators that when you could just load them all out with crazy stuff.
So they're probably the one actual Death Guard. You don't see any infantry out there. So it had that. Then of course it had 3 the Blight Haulers.
Yes, it did.
The Siege Mortar.
Yes.
Whatchamacallit? What are they called?
Yes.
Blight Crawlers.
Yes.
Blight.
The crawler. The mortars. Yeah, it had 3 of those.
I'm forgetting these names.
Yeah, good job. And then
I don't play. It said, "Good job, Mr. 20-year Death Guard player."
I don't own any mortars.
How many points of Death Guard? You have how many? You've read every Death Guard book in existence, and you're blaming this on me.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And then it.
And Mortarion is shedding a tear over there on the wall at this.
Yes, a little infected tear.
We're all gonna die now.
I know we're all gonna die.
And then it had, but the main force was probably knights, right?
Yes.
It had 4 armigers. With the
Chaos Armators.
Helverines, right?
Yes, Helverines.
Helverines.
With the autocannons. Just knocking crap down.
1 Renegade Knight.
And the Renegade Knight was kitted out interestingly.
Right.
He had dual, it was a completely anti-personnel. It had the missile launcher on top, and then it had dual Gatlings.
Dual Gatlings.
So just
it had
tons of shots.
Did it have 2 stubbers as well, or 1
stubber?
stubber?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very
doing
much,
these lists from memory.
Very much an very much an anti-infantry list. Or vehicle.
Well,
that itself.
Right, that particular vehicle.
Yeah.
And then the Helverines are going to be that many of them are going to be great at just knocking out vehicles.
Very good at taking out vehicles.
So with those 3 damage pop per successful hit autocannons, those things are really good at knocking out multi-wound creatures and vehicles because they just lay the wounds on you. And then he has the main knight to hang back and just kill all the popcorn. And between them and the mortars, I mean, it's pretty mean.
It's pretty mean.
It's a good unit. I like the army because it had interesting units.
It had interesting units, but
that's what I really liked about it.
I mean,
it's still.
It's not like they're still basically the units we've been seeing from Chaos. Like,
sure,
if we've seen competitive Chaos lists, they've had the Plague Burst crawlers with the Plague Spitters because those are cheap. You roll them forward. The Plague Spitters make them really hard to do in combat because they automatically hit if you charge
Post fact, so you have rule of 3 all around. So we're not seeing the crazy. But when the PDF came out that let Chaos have knights, that is when Abe and I, and we've written about this on BoLS before. We're like, this is going to be huge for Chaos. It's going to be huge for Chaos. They really needed those units to be able to keep up meta-wise with everything else. And guess what? The first tournament has come out. It's allowed them, and knight. We'd already seen knights everywhere on the Imperial side in previous events. Now we're seeing knights on the Chaos side. However, I still think that the cost to benefit ratio. I think that just Helverines in general, the shooty ones. With the autocannons, those things are.
It's a lot of shots. It's also,
it's maybe one of the best units in the game.
It's a really great unit.
It's one of the best units.
It's also a really solid answer to what was looking like it might rule the meta, which was the Venom Swarms, right?
Sure. Those things just eat Venoms.
Yeah, because each one of those can, not unrealistically, I mean, you only need to get, Venoms only have 6 wounds. So
you got to connect with two and put them down.
Yeah, so it's not even impossible for a single Armiger to kill 2 Venoms a turn.
Oh yeah,
if it rolls decently.
Yeah, if you're rolling hot on your number of shots, and you're rolling, and you have benefits or anything that's letting you,
and you're swapping things out.
Right. Yeah. If you have any kind of ability that's letting you reroll misses or reroll wounds or anything, you're just gonna drop those things.
I mean, even with so. That's a pretty good with 4 of them. You're going to chew through Venom list, and the Venom, the Splinter Cannons aren't going to do much back at you.
No, they're not. Well, and you have the range.
You have the range.
Those things have a 60-inch range, and they're moving fire, and they're fast. So they're going to be running. You can't outrun them. They're going to be able to. They're going to be able to draw line of sight on you. So that was it for the Chaos side. Awesome list. Love to see it. Go Death Guard. People have been saying for a long time that Death Guard were they're middle tier. Whatever.
I mean, Death Guard have been the Chaos list that wins.
That's true.
So
I mean, they went through incarnations.
They did.
First, it was just Mortarion, and then it became 9 Plague Burst crawlers.
There's still there's still no actual Death Guard on the team.
Yes, there are. There's
no there's no actual Plague Marines.
Well, that's
there's no Plague Marines.
Fine.
There are Death Guard.
When's the last time you saw Tactical Marines? Somewhere.
No, I mean Tactical Marines are fairly
because
common
if you play in the competitive realm, you know absolutely that the progression of a Space Marine is you become a Scout. And then you become a Primarch. Right. There's nothing in between. There's nothing in between.
We got a question up there?
Did BAO use chess clocks?
I don't know. They may have, because the chess clock announcement went up before that. I would not be surprised if that. I don't know, but I would guess yes.
I'm not certain. Yeah.
And if they did, I believe chess clocks are only used on the top tables.
Top tables. I mean, both the armies
there was no issues, no nothing. It looks like they had a great tournament. Everything went awesome. So that is fantastic. The second list.
BAO has always had a really good reputation.
Yeah, absolutely. BAO is like
since they begged you for
a logo.
A logo.
They didn't beg me for a logo. BAO has it's fun, laid back. It's a great time.
Yeah.
And the number 2 list, which didn't win, but it was also
undefeated.
Undefeated. An Imperium list.
Yep.
And what's the first part of the favorite list?
Oh, it's also Knights.
It's the Loyal 32.
Oh yes,
the Loyal 32.
There is the Loyal 32.
Everyone make the logo. Everyone make it.
Emperor protects.
The Emperor protects. Loyal 32 were in there, so that's the everyone's favorite Imperial Guard battalion that you know and love, and then backed up by a whole bunch of knights.
Yep.
Do we have a question?
Apparently,
I think we have a question.
Day 2, they use chess clocks.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's also a good way of doing it. Is basically just let the tournament proceed and get all your games in on day 1. Then once once the final cut is made, then chess clock it up.
I mean, both of these detachments both of these armies are fairly low model count.
Yes. Which again, plays its way aggressively. If you have low model count armies in competitive play, you can finish your games. It's easier to kind of control things.
So it would be interesting to see if they put low model counts to take advantage of chess clocks. But I don't think either of them would have worried about timing gap.
With absolutely not.
Count. I mean, I think
no.
The Death Guard list has
not a lot of models.
Not even 20, 19 models.
I mean, you got the 10 Terminators, you got the 2 HQ,
1 HQ,
you got
3 Plague Burst Crawlers. That's
so
14, and 5 Knights.
Yeah, it's like 20 models.
So
like 19
models.
Right. Plus, approximately 20, plus or minus. So
yeah,
a fast army.
So that's a pretty small one.
Also, my favorite thing: easy army to pack and travel.
Definitely.
Always got to take that.
And the Night Archers are pretty small and travel easy too.
Yeah.
Not like trying to pack like trying to pack 5 Knights is not that. It's not as easy.
Yes, it is tricky. But those Armigers are pretty.
They're pretty nice.
They're pretty space efficient.
So this other one, the Loyal 32.
Right.
Which, again,
everyone loves Loyal 32.
Yep.
We have heard, by the way, if you're watching us, if you're a BoLS fan, we have heard that there are already people out there who have painted their Imperial Guard Loyal 32 battalions like ghosts. And if there are, please send us the pictures.
Send us pictures.
Please send us the pictures. Put them up on Twitter, whatever. Email them to us. We want pictures of the Loyal 32 painted as ghosts. Beautiful. That is going to be amazing.
Yes. And then the main part of the army, again, it's technically Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay.
This, much like the Death Guard list, is actually a Knight list.
Yes.
So it is House. It's Imperial. Well, actually, it's Imperial Knights, but I think they're one of the Mechanicus
House Raven,
houses.
I believe.
Yeah. So you've got a Castellan,
yep.
2 Gallants, and a Crusader with the Gatling cannon and rapid fire battle cannon.
Ugh.
So we're seeing the cheap Gallants, which just run forward and are
super nasty. And if you have the right house, if you're running them as House Raven and you get all the benefits, then then they're in your face on turn 2 and they're super nasty. And you got to kill them, and they're good, and there's 2 of them, and they're hitting on 2s, and it's just.
This is a really simple list. It's two big things that run forward and chop you up a bunch, 2 big things that sit back and shoot you up a bunch,
and then the Loyal 32 to grab all your objectives, and be your CP battery.
CPs, and they do. This list did have mortars in the Loyal 32, so there's 3 mortars.
Nice.
So if you need
a little bit of firepower here,
one pesky thing that's hiding somewhere,
you can do it.
You can put that last one on a character or something hiding, something
again,
like that.
Considering a very low model count,
right? I mean, this one is
even with the low 32, it's
36 models.
It's 36 models, and let's be honest, the low 32 don't move much during games. They're just you're going to deploy them, and you're really moving like 5 models. So again, armies built to move fast.
Definitely
built to. Very cool. I like to see it.
It's interesting. I mean, this is the first major-ish tournament after the Knights have come out. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing people use those and adapt to them.
Yep.
And it's always interesting to me to try to think about, are people using Knights because they're the best and they're going to rule the meta right now, or whenever a new book comes out, right?
Sure.
Like, is it because of Codex creep and
sure.
the new book is so good and it just wins everything?
Sure.
Or is it legitimately people excited to use new stuff that's come out and try new stuff and they're bored of whatever they were playing before?
Sure.
And I don't know. I think there's a mix going on.
I mean, I think every new codex in a competitive field, always there's this like a little silver lining kind of halo effect that any new codex punches above its weight for its first like 60 to 90 days, just because no one is experienced in fighting it. No one's experienced. So you kind of right out of the gate, every new codex is like, ooh, it's neat, and you see more of it, and then like in that like 4 to 9 months out, then they kind of settle back in. People get used to them, and then the ones that are actually really good,
unless you're Grey Knights,
if they stay,
then you just suck
we don't. Grey Knights to the bottom of the sea.
Or Black Templar.
They get to fight the Idnith Deepkin. That's who the Grey Knights are fighting.
Under the sea.
Under the sea. That's sad.
Exterminatus.
The interesting thing that I've seen is that when I'm looking at tournament lists, like when we first saw the Night Book, everyone was super excited about the Valiant.
So
but we're actually kind of seeing, the jury is not out. The sample size is really small, but it is neat that that's not what we're seeing in the list. We're seeing people just taking the Castellans and holding them back and just using them as fire support and sending the rest of their armies up forward.
I would expect, looking at it, that most of the people using a Castellan are using one of the relics on it.
Sure, they're probably using the super plasma.
The Call's Fury or whatever.
The Call's Fury is really good.
Right, which,
really
like
good.
we said in our initial reviews of the book, is really what makes it good.
Oh, absolutely. Makes that You're outputting it's a 50% damage increase.
So I'd expect a lot of people are using that, and I think as much as I love the Valiant, the biggest problem is that I think the Harpoon has one shot, right?
Yes,
it can miss.
It can miss. Now you re-roll if you're fighting anything big, but yeah, it is luck dependent.
It is very luck dependent, especially in a day and age when there's lots of things that have minuses.
Yeah, and if you put all those points into it and you run upfield and you survive and you take that shot and you miss, that may be game.
Or
that's the shot.
That's the shot. And again, you get invulnerable saves.
Sure.
So against the really important, it's really a deadly weapon, and as we were talking, it's like, oh man, you can totally go one-shot rhinos with that thing. But one-shotting rhinos doesn't win you games.
That's correct. That's correct. No, it does not.
That's not how you win 40K by one-shotting empty rhinos with a 500-point model.
But it does feel good.
It feels great, and that's an amazing casual play, great story. I went out there and I had 5 shots and I killed 5 rhinos. That's wonderful.
Fine.
But I mean, at the tournament level, and I'm not saying the Valiant's bad, but I can see why it may not pan out as much.
Sure.
Because that Harpoon gun is a lot of stuff in one roll.
And and I've seen some builds out there in competitive games where they're also using the other version of this. They're using the 4 missiles, and the 1 turrets as just gunships. And they're just sending them back, and they're just being like, the game can last 4 turns. I'm just going to fire one of those things every turn and nail your characters or nail whatever.
With the ability to target characters on the stratagem that lets you do that, right? Yeah, that's definitely not bad, and no invulnerable saves.
Yeah,
definitely can put the hurt on armies,
and that can swing a game.
That can swing a game.
If you can take out a key character early that someone thinks is totally safe, and you're just like, nope, there went your aura that your army needed.
Now you can do a similar thing with the Valiant. Sure. The flamethrower is still a great weapon.
The Valiant, the flamethrower is really ugly.
So definitely, I wouldn't say that the Valiant's bad at all. But I also think in a lot of ways the two Galleons fill the same role, right?
Yes.
They're running forward just to put pressure on the enemy, bully them around, chop stuff up.
Right. They're in your face, and they'll get there faster. They're not much faster.
Not fast, but they will.
But they're faster.
So you already got those two things getting in there. Really, kind of what you do need probably is this long-range firepower to take out mid-range stuff, Custodes, things like that.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Hit them with the better plasma guns.
Helverins, again, are just fantastic.
And Helverins are really great.
Helverins are just
We saw the Death Guard list
good.
uses them. So it's interesting to see that both the top lists had
tons of knights.
Tons of knights. That's the word I'm looking for. Tons of knights.
Yep.
We'll see if that continues through the meta. How many people do you know is BAO about? 100 size?
I want to say approximately 100.
Oh, size.
So
I
believe it's high single digits.
It is definitely one of the major events in the U.S.
Absolutely.
So this is a good bellwether to see how things might be going, especially if we don't know when a new codex is coming out, right?
Sure. We do not. Soonish.
Hopefully,
soonish.
But that could still be another month or two.
Go Space Wolves. The other thing we wanted to let you guys know is we've been working with our good buddies over at Best Coast Pairings, BCP, and we now on BoLS every Wednesday It should be an every Wednesday thing. We now have a This Week in Competitive 40K. So we're going to be getting you guys every week. So come in on Wednesdays and look for it. Every week we're going to be going over, they are crunching the numbers for us and giving us a weekly report. So we'll be able to give you guys what are the top factions that people are playing out there. What are the top factions that are winning events, and we'll get the army list for whatever army list won the largest event that they have. That happened in the last 7-day period. So it's going to be great. So every week now you're going to be able to check in, see what people are playing, what's going on, you know, all that kind of good stuff.
So what I'm hearing is I need to find like a really low week and like go beat my friend Bob.
Like 10 times.
Like this was the biggest event of this week.
So you're going to be like, I'm going to go to 10 different events in Texas and play Sisters. And win every time.
Well, no, I just need to beat one person at the biggest event, but I need to pick a week there's no event, right?
Yes.
And then it's just like me and Bob and register as an event, and then my list will be featured as the winning list of the biggest event that week.
This is why Abe is not allowed to gamble, like in 48 states.
We got a question out there.
Yes.
Do you think Grey Knights had any viability with some Imperial Knight Fire support for tournaments?
I mean,
as much as anything
that's
else.
Like saying, like, do Knights? I mean, are Knights good? It's, you know, that's like, you know, is chocolate ice cream good with gummy bears or sprinkles? You know, the Knights are good. So
yeah, I don't.
How you accessorize them, I think, is personal choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably do something. I don't know that the Grey Knights add anything more to the list than other Imperial factions do.
Right. I mean, you could take an absolute minimum. You could take, you know, some minimum sized strike teams or something, just to be able to like hop around and grab objectives.
I mean, that might be the one thing you could do is you could use Gate to get one squad, and then like the
you can take the guys who teleport Shunga, interceptors. So absolutely you can, but I think if you tried to build your army the other way around and you tried to build a Grey Knight list and then take a few knights to support it, you'd have it'd be a much more of an uphill slog.
I mean, you could definitely.
I mean, hey, if you like Grey Knights, go for it. Go for it.
I mean, or just take like 3 Grandmasters in
Dread Knights.
In Dread Knights, and then like 3 Knight Gallants, and just be like Knights of the Round Table.
Hammer time.
Yeah, it's hammer time.
Let me take out my boombox.
Boop. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look into it and think more, but I don't. I mean, you could do it. But
I mean, they are rebalancing the points with the Imperial with the
chapter approved.
Chapter approved. You know, every year. So in theory, you know, you can win with anything. If you're a good player and you build your list, you know, I went to tournaments in like 5th and beat people with Tau when Tau were terrible.
You beat people?
I did.
Huh.
I did. I went to
fun games.
I went to Feast of Blades with Tau.
That's right.
And I charged Chaos Marines with Fire Warriors and won. So
we have a photo of the certificate of him being the best 40K player in Austin. Somewhere.
It's true.
From 19 from like 2006.
Yeah, we had an inter-Austin tournament league.
I did. Yeah. Hey, I was a contender. Yeah. It was just a long time ago.
That's true.
In the time of the Thunder Lizards.
Well, that's Age of Sigmar.
Yes, that's true.
Age of Sigmar.
So now,
like, what are you talking about? Like, Age of Sigmar is the time of the Thunder Lizards.
That's true.
It's going to be interesting to see where the meta goes from here.
Sure.
I think.
Top 3 factions, both being played and winning. The order that they're winning versus the order that they're being played are slightly out of balance, but overall, the most popular factions that are out there obviously are Knights. Chaos Marines and Astra Militarum.
Now,
that is currently who is...
Now, this is still... The actual what a faction is still kind of self-reported, right?
It's self-reported, but it is supposed to be... Correct. They are supposed to... that is self-reported by BCP, but that is... what you are supposed to report is that is the faction that uses the most points. In your army.
Not always the case. I would suspect a number of the Astra Militarum factions are just the Loyal 32.
Sure.
Not necessarily. At least that has been the case in the past. I don't know if they've changed how some of their reporting.
And that's a problem that we're going to have no matter right now in competitive 40K. Just from a metrics point of view, one of the big problems that we have is just there's no standards.
There's no standards.
So like I believe that the corner will be turned when Games Workshop does put out its official army builder for 40K, which we know that it's coming.
It'll have you pick something, but
because at that point. everyone's going to use that because that's the official one.
Right.
And once that happens, then at least everything is apples to apples. Everyone will be using this. Everyone will be using the same.
And it'll
format,
either be from where your warlord comes or whatever has the most points.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't always neither one of those are perfect at telling what your army actually is.
I agree.
Because you can pretty easily. We're
not saying it's a perfect system. No. We're saying it's the best metrics from the largest pool of metrics that are available.
The metrics are great. Yeah. So there's never going to be a good answer.
That's correct.
Once you have free allies like this.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you have to, because I can take a 2,000 point army that has 1,100 points of one faction, and that's technically my main faction. But the 900 points.
I was still surprised. Knight didn't surprise me at all. Ashmil Tarm didn't surprise me at all. I was actually surprised for Marines.
For Chaos Marines?
No, just
regular Marines.
Just Astartes.
I'm not surprised
they're really
at all.
People are playing them, and people are playing them a lot.
And what's interesting is I know that we had some of the tournament systems had put out the numbers for 2017 beginning and 2016 for ITC events, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at the breakdown of who played in 2016 and 2017.
Sure.
And all the factions had changed a little bit except for Marines, and they've always both years.
I mean,
even with 7 to 8.
They are just the perennial.
They are.
Default of Warhammer, and I mean, let's be honest. It's the combination of 30 years of inertia. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a Marine army.
Sure.
Lots of people who play 40K, they just have Marine armies.
Yeah.
And even if they're not the best anymore, Marines. Games Workshop has done. I would say they've done a great job over the past 30 years. They never let Marines. Well, Marines very occasionally dominate the meta, but they're never last. Marines are always kind of in the. They keep them kind of in the middle zone. Mm-hmm. And that's a good spot for them.
It's a good spot. Yeah. And I think at some point, anytime you look at these numbers, one thing the number of what's played, one thing to keep important is that there's a significant number of tournament players who do not care about competitiveness.
Sure.
They're not going to go change their list based on the new edition or the new book, or at least not the army they play. They'll change specific lists. So, and I think that's especially probably true of things like Marine players.
Oh, sure.
Who are always middle of the road. So they're never just going to be like, oh, this army is horrible. Why would I bother playing it? I'm just going to lose all my games. And many Marine players really love Marines.
Yeah.
That's why they play Marines.
Right.
So
they like the whole vibe. They like the fluff. They like everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, and Marines really are. You can pretty safely say that Marines are the backbone that 40K is built on.
Definitely.
If you like 40K and everything that the universe and the whole game stands for visually,
mm-hmm.
You're gonna like Marines.
Yeah. So there's definitely a certain percentage of those numbers that really are never going to change based on the meta. That,
sure.
The 30 to 40% Marine players.
And Primaris Marines has definitely been a shot in the arm.
Oh, definitely. For
Marines
as well as when it comes to actually winning games, that's going to change all the time.
Exactly.
But for the percentage of people who play armies in events, you're probably always going to see a baseline of mm-hmm. most things. It's the factions that either become really good or really bad, or are newer factions, or just or smaller factions that you're going to see drop off a lot.
Yeah,
that's fluctuate.
That's like the spice of 40K. As all those things kind of mm-hmm. move in and out of fashion around Marines, and the Marines are just kind of mm-hmm. always there.
Well, I think that's it for the meta today.
I think that is for the meta today. There's going to be all kinds of cool, exciting news next week.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put that as I'm going to give you a hint. Stomp. That's all I'm going to say.
Stomp. All right.
Stomp.
All right. Well, we are done with the far future.
With the far future, and now we're going to go into, actually not even the past, just a multitude of different universes. JR,
we're done with sci-fi.
Come on back. I'm taking him out of here.
Bring us our veteran fantasy correspondent. JR's back. Welcome back to the show, son.
Oh, it's always good to be here.
Yeah,
always good to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's a fine day out on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
We have our teams. I mean, it's just it goes to show you what the sport can do.
Right. Are we talking about Blood Bowl now?
Are we?
I don't know.
I thought we were talking. You said we were done with sci-fi, so
right.
I thought I'd go as grounded and realistic as I can.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we're not done with sci-fi.
We're not done with sci-fi.
One of the most exciting things out there. The most exciting things out there right now. In fact, we're going even harder sci-fi.
Harder sci-fi
is the new Expanse RPG out on Kickstarter right now.
But it's less futuristic.
It is.
So it's only what year does the Expanse take place in?
The 20XX6.
Really?
I don't remember. It's 21 something? 22 something? I forget.
What is this, an anime in the year 20XXX?
Yes. But basically, yes, it is not the grim darkness of the far future.
No, it's the grim darkness of the near future.
It's the glum darkness of the near future, where everyone's kind of
gritty glumness of the near future.
Everyone's like full of grit and just sad because like there's strife,
and they can't breathe in space.
Which
is a big difference from 40K where they can.
Gravity is changing them. Like people are look different from one another because like. Some people live in the asteroid belt. Some people live like on the outer planets. Some people live on Earth and Mars, and none of them like each other.
None of them do.
There's just a whole lot of like interplanetary tension,
and that's why they're building Gundams.
Right. Except instead of Gundams, they have built like ice freighters. They do have powered armor.
Okay.
The powered armor is really cool.
I mean, it's not that I don't love the Expanse, but when you try to say, like, ice freighters are cooler than Gundams...
They literally are!
Hey! He's got me there! Sorry, Bandai Namco and Sunrise Films. The Expanse has got you beat in the coolness
I don't think we're topping that.
No, we're done here.
We're done. But yes, so the Expanse, it's out on Kickstarter. It was funded in an hour.
Yeah.
It's like shot well past its funding goal. They're well on their way to making stretch goals. This thing is built off the Age system, which is the adventure game engine, and it is this is a tweak of the Modern Age, which just came out.
Right.
And in the Expanse. So there's two big things about how this differs in the Expanse. So one of the things that is characteristic of the Age system is stunts. So when you like roll well, you get to like add certain effects to your actions based on like what you've got. So that's like a ton of fun. It's cool. It makes rolling the dice exciting.
So it's not in the game, right? Because it's too exciting for this gritty glumness.
Maybe. The other thing is that instead of hit points, you just have like a pool of luck, and when it runs out, like any hit will kill you because it's like super gritty.
Sure.
So like you might luck out and not get hit by some bullets when you should have, but once your luck is out, you're dead.
Huh.
Just straight up
That's
dead.
actually a really interesting way of doing like hit points or health or something.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I do as well. Like it's really really interesting. It actually tracks well with the books. Like I don't know if so I'm going to spoil book 1 of the Expanse.
Also for those of you who don't know, the Expanse are books.
Oh yeah, they are. They
and
are
also
books.
a TV show.
And a TV show and now a role playing game. They were written by James S.A. Corey, who is 2 authors that worked with George R.R. Martin, who is just 1 author.
Right.
But they were like they worked with him on some of his like sci-fi stuff.
Who is? Shouldn't it be who are?
Yes. Yes. Who are 2 authors?
Yeah, it's a team.
It's a team. Yeah. They write as one. Yeah. Anyway, the books are amazing. They kind of detail a slightly near but kind of distant future in which humanity is spread to the planets. They like kind of live in the asteroid belt. Some live on like Titan and other moons of the outer planets.
There's the Granites, right?
Yes.
Right.
Mars has been colonized by the Proto-Adeptus Mechanicus. Actually, kind of, yeah. And Earth is like not quite a post-scarcity utopia. It's overpopulated
so
and like all kinds of weird.
It's more like next gen than like original series, or
it's like if you.
When do they bring money back?
It's like if you wrote next gen, right? But you had spent the decade reading comics and decided to be gritty.
Sure.
Instead of
so
shiny.
Like, there's like no scarcity, but Batman will still like beat you up for breaking the law.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So I would write it. What are you talking about?
It's a really cool setting, and like chaos is introduced when to everything when like an alien proto molecule shows up and opens a portal. Spoilers.
I was saying to the warp.
I mean,
that's when chaos gets introduced, right?
Mean, kind of, yeah. But again, spoiling the first book, they kind of talked about the luck mechanic. There's this great moment where Holden and one of the other characters, the detective, are kind of like escaping this like alien proto molecule that's taking over an asteroid like mining and processing facility. And in the book, the guy's like the detective's luck runs out. and he gets like eaten by this thing, and it's like this like gruesome, terrifying moment, and you know it comes back later on, but like it's straight out of the books, which is really cool because you don't see that kind of thing that often.
Well, that's really cool. And this is who makes this? Who's making it?
Green Ronin makes this. Yeah.
So this will be this is on Kickstarter for still another month or so.
Yeah, it'll be on I think till the end of mid-August, and then we'll see it sometime next year. Which is pretty cool.
They actually funded fast enough that they ran out of stretch goals and had to come up with new ones.
Yeah, so
in like 2 days. Yeah,
yeah, right. So get in on this, guys, because they are still coming up with more stuff. We're
the book looks good. It's really expansive and has lots of maps and
things
like that.
It has lots of maps and things like that. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
It's a chance to really dive into a world that you don't see, because like you see a lot of like the big space opera kind of sci-fi stuff, but this is a little harder, a little grittier, and I really like that. Speaking of grit and grim darkness and perilous,
moving to a less cool system, literally, not
but super fun.
Yeah.
Also out or
for pre-order,
pre-order,
yep.
and that will be out with Gen Con, I do believe, is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is done by Cubicle 7. They have taken Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and updated it to a 4th edition, but they've done it by taking a step back and taking what they like from 1st and 2nd edition.
Also, speaking of Grim Darkness, also out for pre-order, and I think also for Gen Con, is Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory.
Yep, which is also grim and dark.
Very grim and dark.
So if you guys like grim, glum, gritty stuff, this is like your week.
This is a great week.
This is a great time.
Wrath and Glory is an amazing game. We actually got to we actually got to play it on stream here.
Yeah.
I think you can find the video on YouTube. Check it out. We had the designer come in and run a session for us.
It's a real interesting system. It's very cool. It's got one of the coolest mechanics for like encouraging role play that I've seen. Like that's one of the things that really stood out to me. What did you think about it, eh?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game, and it's interesting. Speaking that it's coming out at the same time as, or similar to Warhammer Fantasy 4th Edition, because both of them share like a pedigree, right?
Right.
Like this game, while not directly an adaptation of everything, is sort of a successor to the Rogue Trader system, or Dark Heresy system, which was directly a successor to the early Warhammer Fantasy, I probably think 2nd edition or 3rd edition.
Yeah, because that kind of split into,
it split into those. The designers are some of the same people worked on all these games together, so there is a pedigree here. So this game, Wrath and Glory, is definitely its own game. It is not 3rd edition or 2nd edition or anything like that. But definitely shares some thoughts and you know, that kind of idea. So you can see all of these things kind of branching off into these different ways, and Warhammer side of it, or 40k side of it, has now become its own thing totally, and kind of grown up into an adult that then summoned some Chaos Gods and pledged itself to the God Emperor of Mankind.
And it got infested by orcs.
It got infested by orcs and Tyranids.
You can't play as Tyranids.
But no, they're infested. That's why you have to go to the doctor to get rid of the Tyranid infestation.
It's true. That is one thing that I like about Wrath and Glory, though, is how like expansive it is. Borrow Green Ronin's bit. You can play as like an elf, a guardsman, a space marine, an orc. They have rules for orc vehicles in the book.
They do.
I want to play like just a boy who's just going on like an orc boy, not just a regular boy
with his pet squig.
With his pets, a boy and his squig. The Wrath and Glory adventure. Like, that sounds amazing, right?
It would be great. I do like that. I think one of the things that really impressed me of the game is, unlike earlier other 40k games, they've made it much more seamless to have these mixed parties.
Absolutely.
We were able to play, a guards person, a commissar, and a space marine all in the same party,
right? Yeah.
And just not have it feel horrible. And before, they'd kind of split that up, where if you were going to play like the Space Marines, you were playing the Space Marine game.
Right.
Everyone was a Space Marine, and
because otherwise it breaks down. And like that, I mean, Only War was maybe one of the most successful versions of that.
It definitely was, and that was where you play guardsmen. or people, guard or women. You know,
play
guards people.
You play members of the guard, and you die.
And you die horribly.
Then you have someone else replace you.
Yeah,
it was kind of amazing.
It was a lot of fun. But again, they really had to compartmentalize those things, and there could be crossover, but the systems were all a little different, and they didn't all work together as well.
They were all kind of scaled for like the players to be the baseline power level, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you introduce something from the others, there was this whole like
there definitely was
weird thing of trying to make an engine that wasn't designed to run this thing.
And in some ways, I would almost say that like the old systems were more representative of the fluff, or some of the fluff.
Right.
Whereas the new system is more representative of like 40K tabletop reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Where like a Space Marine is totally rad and awesome, but like having them together, like the Guardsman can hold its own, like still contribute. As opposed to like if you really get in the fluff, they're like, are there 1,000 Guardsmen? Well then why does my Space Marine give a shit that your Guardsman's here? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Like, whatever. So I had a lot of fun playing Wrath and Glory, the game we played. I'm looking forward to running it and playing it more in the future.
Absolutely.
When it's out. I'm also looking forward into getting into Warhammer Fantasy 4th edition. And there's also an Age of Sigmar role-playing game coming out. There isn't
by the same people. Yeah, they have started work on an Age of Sigmar role-playing game, which will be out as well. I kind of want to see what that's like.
It will be interesting to see what that's like,
Yeah. The Age of Sigmar, like the world of the Mortal Realms, is kind of ripe for an RPG. Because it's just like, hey, here's 8 crazy worlds. You can travel between them. The land of the dead is a very real place that you probably will go at some point.
It definitely seems like it's a good. It's a very interesting setting for that kind of stuff. It'd be interesting to see like if they talk about like common life, like what do you do when you're not fighting the crazy battle?
Yeah, what do you do if you're not a Stormcast Eternal?
Yeah. Or like, when you're walking for someplace, what do you see on the way there?
Right? Like
it's not just like crazy Sigmarite Citadel.
Right.
Endless bone plane battle. Or maybe it is that. And like
maybe it is.
That's a little less exciting from an RPG set point,
absolutely.
But that's kind of the vision you sometimes get like
and I think
what's going on.
I think like this is that Age of Sigmar role-playing game is an interesting chance for them because it's an interesting chance for them to explore the world, right? Like it's a chance to build out the rest of the stuff that we don't see. It's like if you were designing, like when they made the West End Star Wars role-playing game, right? They had a chance to kind of take what was there, what was visible on screen in Star Wars, and build it out. But because they had to, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, one of the, Squish Face and Droopy McCool, right? Like they had to be species, right? They can't just be the.
And if you are an older Star Wars fan or a long-term Star Wars fan and have never like done anything with the West End Star Wars games,
you should check it out.
Definitely check it out.
The 30th anniversary is out.
30th edition is out by FFG, but also you will be surprised if you ever go look at it how much stuff came from the West End game.
Yeah, basically, like, if you have a modern appreciation for Star Wars...
especially the old expanded universe.
Yeah,
like,
then
much of that came out of that.
So much... Well, even basic things.
Even basic
like
things, absolutely.
Twi'leks and Ithorians came from the West End game. So
there's so many things that are canon even today.
Right.
That were just like, well, we've got to figure out something. And Star Wars is really funny like that. Like, there's all these things that, like, a toy names something, too, right? Like, we need a name for, like, this guy if we're going to sell a toy of him. We can't say, like, Weepy Guy in Cantina.
Yeah, we need a name for, and that's why the bartender, the cook from the Greasy Spoon Diner in Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. He's got his own action figure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And a
Rex
name.
Or Rex or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Jetster. Something like that.
Good times, good times. Everyone's favorite Star Wars movie, definitely.
Hey, people love the prequels. That's what I hear. You walk around, they're like, man, I just wish there were more...
I love the prequels. I don't like Attack of the Clones, though.
Yeah.
We did save the Clone Wars.
We did. We
so
did.
That's coming back.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're a little off topic there, though.
But getting back to
what else is coming out in RPGs, real quick?
What else is coming out? Oh, there's a Zombicide RPG coming out at Gen Con from Cool Mini or Not, or at least they're going to be like showing off what they have in mind. It's due to be out on Kickstarter next year sometime, but they've announced it and they're going to like be talking about it while they're out there.
Like we talked about last week, the Eberron, Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron
is out.
It's out now. That has 4 new races in it.
It's got some new new spells, new features, new rules for playing in Eberron. There's a ton of cool stuff. It is definitely worth checking out.
They still have like the marks that they had.
They do still have the dragon marks.
Marks, yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
If that's the sort of thing you want to play around with, you want them. They're great.
And then we've also got, at some point fairly soon, we've got, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica.
And then we do have stuff for Waterdeep coming out as well, in just next month. Well, in September.
And don't do what JR did with his Waterdeep stuff, which is leave them outside and let it get rained on.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of water.
It's not that kind of... It can't go very deep
at
all.
The book cannot.
So now...
That was like your 3rd edition book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Now this is like a real thing.
Yeah, this is... So I left my book outside in the rain, and it turns out that's not the best way to treat your RPG book.
That is not. So even with the name with Waterdeep.
For that said, though, I was still functional.
It was.
I was still able to use it.
In his defense, it was like the one day that year it rained in Texas.
It was. So,
I mean, who could predict it? But that's about it for us today. Our hour is run down.
The clock has run out on us. We got to get out of here before that Lord Executioner comes back.
He does. He's flipping over that thing. We'll be back next Monday with a show.
We will have been to Gen Con and back.
If you are going to be at Gen Con, you and Adam are going to be there, right?
Look for Adam and I. We'll be wearing some brightly colored BoLS shirts. Feel free to say hi.
If you have anything, if you have really cool presents you want them to give to me, give it to them. They'll give it to me. It would be great. I love y'all.
And when we come back from Gen Con, we'll tell you about all the cool stuff we saw there. Or rather, we'll hand a note to Abe.
No, I'm going to take off that day because you guys are going to be really well rested. And, we'll let you recount that because you need extra work after going to Gen Con. I'm Abe. This is JR. We will see you next Monday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. This has been the BoLS Tabletop Hour. Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.